Hi guys. I moved and I haven't uploaded in months. I've officially backed myself into a corner given that I'm recording this 2 days away from Halloween. It's either I release this video now or I procrastinate until Christmas. Let's get this started. Now before I get into the weird nitty-gritty that lurks in When Evil Lurks, let me give you a few fun facts about this movie. It's a co-production between Argentina and the United States. Those two got together, a couple filmmakers, boom, made this movie, released back in 2023. It actually won an award for Best Costume Design, and that's pretty prevalent since the evil in this movie looks really freaking good. Also, a little bit of discrepancy I found between IMDb's ratings and Rotten Tomatoes ratings. IMDb has this rated at a 6.9 out of 10, that's funny, and Rotten Tomatoes has this rated at a 96%. Little unbalanced, but I'm sure that's not a sign of weird to come. It was a sign of weird to come, and come did the weird did. But to really get the scope of what I'm talking about, let's get somewhat of a plot going, because it's like what I like to say, some plot is better than no plot. So the whole plot of this movie is that this demon, this real bad guy, some might even call him evil, is trying to be born among man Christ style. And how he does that is by infecting this host, right? Which bloats the motherfucker up to like 3 times his size. And basically uses that as a base of operations while he just releases his demon plague. It just starts infecting shit. To prevent this demon plague from spreading any further across town, 2 brothers named Pedro and Jaime take it upon themselves to pick up the body of this rotten fellow and move him somewhere else. They move him like 2.5 hours away, something like that, like a few hundred kilometers, and just drop him off. Who would have thought that didn't work? The first creature to bite the bad one in terms of this evil plague is a goat. Now, this is a pretty funny scene in this movie. So it opens with this goat herd in like a farm, right? And the farmer's wife is like, "Yo, Padre, that one's looking weird." So the farmer takes a double barrel, boom, fires it in the air. Whole herd starts to scamper, exit stage right. But the infected goat stays. He's just staring him down like, "What you gonna do, big boy? Shoot me?" But he can't, because this movie is bullshit. Now this gets stated towards like the middle of the movie, but there are a few rules that the demon abides by that the characters have to watch out for. One of those rules being, you can't shoot it with a gun. The gunpowder makes the evil spread. Why didn't you see that coming? Also, you can't use electrical lights. Period. The shadows they create attract the evil. That's also very convenient considering electrical lights are fucking everywhere. And another thing, you can't say the demon's name. It could be Lucifer, it could be Satan, it could be Beelzebub, could be Mephistopheles, could be Amadeus. You don't want to chance it, it draws out the evil. And another thing, depending on how strong of a will you have, I think you'll be able to counter the measures of the demon better. Because the main characters get some of the evil virus on their clothes, so they have to burn them. But they're not affected by it. But when they put the clothes on the ground, a dog sniffs it, and that dog turns evil. What the fuck is going on? Anyways, so the farmer's holding this evil goat at gunpoint. And the farmer's wife is like, "No, you can't kill him like that. The gunpowder will spread the evil." Farmer blows the goat's head off anyway. Which the wife responds by taking an axe and going, boom, axe to the head. Boom, axe to the jugular. And then proceeds to take that axe and kill herself with it. Because you can't kill the killer of the evil with an axe. Again, how'd you not see that coming? After this transpires, the brothers are all like, "Dude, we gotta split town. We gotta grab our family and go. We can't deal with this evil no more." So that's what they try to do. Pedro goes to his wife's house, and apparently, he has a restraining order. He can't go within like 50 feet of his wife, or else the cops get called. That's inconvenient. So despite this restraining order, he still goes inside her house, gets butt-ass naked in front of God and everybody, and he's like, we gotta burn these clothes. And his wife's like, what are you doing? We have a restraining order. And he's like, the evil! The evil is coming! And she's like, are you been drinking? And he's like, the evil! As Pedro is getting comfortable, the family dog starts to sniff around and ruffle around in his clothes, which leads to the dog getting infected with the evil. Again, I don't know how Pedro didn't get infected if the evil was on his clothes, but we gotta keep this plot going somehow. And all of this leads to one of the only jump scares in the movie. And it is one of the funniest jump scares I've ever seen. It just comes out of nowhere. So, the dog is sitting next to Pedro's ex-wife's daughter, Vicky, right? The camera is Pedro, butt naked, arguing with his ex-wife. Vicky and the dog are just looking on. They're arguing. And it just cuts to the dog and Vicky. The dog looks at her and lunges. It is no right. It has no right to be that funny, but it is. Dare I say it's one of the most memorable parts of this movie. What transpires after this can only be described as pandemonium. So the family dog is tossing Vicky around like a rag doll. She shouldn't live this, by the way. Spoiler alert, she doesn't. And takes Vicky's body, bolts outside. Now, bear with me now, Pedro's ex-wife's new husband, Leonardo, grabs a double-barreled shotgun and is like, I'ma kill that dog. Pedro's like, you can't kill the dog. You know the famous songs. You can't do that because of plot devices. Leonardo doesn't listen to him, starts to chase after the dog. Pedro's like, shit, now I gotta find this person. Make him not do anything he's gonna regret. Lo and behold, he does something he regrets, shoots the dog. Now we got 3 infected to deal with. Pedro, disgruntled, goes back to his ex-wife's house, and Vicky's there with his ex-wife. And she's whispering like, my dad's gonna kill you. And lo and behold, Leonardo, in the driver's seat of a freaking hatchback, drives, rams Pedro's ex-wife, splatters her against the wall. She should be dead, but she shows up later in the movie. That means she's infected! Now Pedro is in full holy crap mode. He grabs his 2 sons, Santiago and Jair, and just runs away before the cops come, because he has a restraining order, just trying to meet up with his brother and his mother. Now, Jair is severely autistic. I swear to God that's important. But he meets up with his brother and his mother, and they go out, they're driving, they head to a corner stop. I think they're trying to buy apple ice cream or something for his severely autistic son. But then, his dead ex-wife calls his mother. Pedro takes the phone, talks to her, she's like, huh? And she's like, I'm gonna kill you, bitch. He hangs up and is like, crap. We gotta go find a witch. Thankfully, Jaime from his earlier years is well versed in witches. Witches of all kinds. Witches of all creeds. And thankfully, one lives nearby who has gone through this exact thing. So, they go over there and start to discuss business. And she eventually offers them room and board for the night. So, they're settling down, sleeping for the night. But then Pedro's bitch ex-wife comes. And she wants her kids. And she is evil. So, Pedro's dead evil ex-wife steals Santiago, jumps out the window. And she lands. Everyone rushes outside to see where she is. She's nowhere to be found. She disappears. And Pedro's like, shit, my other son. So he runs out to see where his son is. His son is fine. But then the witch is like, hold on. This boy is evil. Pedro's like, what do you mean he's evil? He's just severely autistic. She's like, look at his hands. They're doing like this number right here. That means that the evil is trapped inside it because it can't navigate the mind of a severely autistic person. I sure hope it doesn't figure out how to. Now the witch is like, alright, the only way we can deal with this now is if we find the rotten source of the evil and kill him with this very elaborate device. Pedro's like, alright, cool. I know the general area where he got dropped off at. You, me, we go over there, we ice him. She's like, cool. And Jaime's like, even better, I'll go look for your ex-wife and your possibly alive son. And they're like, alright, cool. We'll meet back up here in time for breakfast. So they go off in their separate directions. I'll talk about Jaime first. That one's a little bit more interesting. So Jaime's driving down the road, flickering his headlights because you can't have electrical lights, but he also needs to see. So he's going down the road, searching for Pedro's ex-wife. And eventually, he does find her. And Santiago's dead. Worse than dead, as a matter of fact. Pedro's ex-wife is just walking down the side of the road, and she is just literally taking handfuls of brain matter out of Santiago. It was pretty interesting the first time I saw it. Gotta give this movie credit. It won that award for Best Prop Design for a reason. It was a pretty cool scene, but how Jaime handled it, stupid. Remember how I said you can't kill the infected unless through a very elaborate way? So Jaime decides to ram the bitch. And he does. Pins her against a tree. And she starts speaking tongues to him like, I know you love me, or something like that. And he's just panting because he got in like a head-on collision at 40 miles an hour. I don't know how he got home. He's there at the end of the movie. I don't know how he got back to ground base. I think he just walked, but this movie's weird, man. Cut back to Pedro and the witch. They're driving, trying to find the rotten, evil doodad. And they stumble upon a school. And the school is full of children because, and I quote, evil likes children, children like the evil. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says about kids in our day and age. But they're all just kind of sitting there in classrooms. You know, just sitting, hanging out. Pedro tries to press one of them asking where the evil is, and he's like, yeah, he's over there. That's a lie. And then another child comes up to him and is like, no, he's over there. That's another lie. So we've already established that these kids aren't trustworthy. So where is he? Thankfully, the witch knows. And you know what? These kids are pointing us in all these different directions. That must mean that the evil is somewhere in the school. The evil is, in fact, somewhere in the school. They eventually find the rotten evil source guy hidden underneath the boards of this stage. He's covered in a layer of bodies, right? They're all, I guess, embalmed in lime, so you can't smell the corpses. Anyways, Pedro's having to pry back these boards, take these bodies, move them to the side, so he can get to the rotten. And all the while, the witch is like, I need to see his nape. The nape is the only way we can kill this guy. I gotta take this knife, I gotta stab him in the nape. And Pedro's like, I can't get the boards out of the way. And one of the kids that was lying to him was like, hey, there's a fire axe over there, away from the general area, in that little enclosed space where we can lock you in there. And Pedro's like, Now, I hate Pedro with a passion, because these kids have already lied to him twice. So he's like, alright, now I'm gonna take your word for it. Guess what? He gets trapped in the classroom. Convenient. And the witch is getting dragged away, getting beaten in the head with a hammer, until she dies. Again, who could have seen that coming? Pedro finally gets out of that room, but the witch is gone, the kids are gone, it's only him and the rotten Mamma Jamma. And the rotten Mamma Jamma is laughing at him. And he's like, you stupid coward. So Pedro takes a pipe and starts caving the evil skull in. Now, this was not Rule 76 on how to deal with the monster. So you know what happens? That's right, the Antichrist is born. The Antichrist proceeds to simpa Pedro before going on his merry way. Pedro finally makes it back to his brother, and it's just the two of them. What happened to Grandma? She disappeared. We didn't have a side plot about her. We kinda did. While all this is transpiring, the grandma is just sitting alone, contemplating, thinking about the events that have been transpiring, when Jair, you know, the severely autistic person that shouldn't be able to function, is functioning normally. The evil got to him. Figured out to navigate the autistic mind, and now he has control over his body. So what does he do? He eats grandma. Yep. Every single bit of grandma. All the grandma he could get his hands on, he ate all of the grandma. And it is revealed at the end of the movie when Jair is acting, autistic again, trying to eat ice cream, starts choking, and Pedro starts helping him out, starts pulling out clumps of grandma. Again, very funny. The movie basically ends there, with the two brothers and Jair being the last people standing. It opens up a lot of way for a sequel, but I don't think a sequel is ever going to happen, because this movie is already crazy, wacky, silly enough. I tell you, this is like the Smiling Friends of horror movies. This is like the South Park of horror movies. It's just jumbled shit conglomerating together until something forms. Case in point, the rule system for these demons. Like I said before, the fact that you can't kill any of the infected or else you get infected, probably not the best way to move a plot forward. Me personally, I would have done it like, yo, you can burn these fuckers, and that releases the evil. But not, you have to go through this elaborate mess to kill the hive center. You can't kill any of the others, or else that gets you. Not that fair, I could say. Not a lot of things are fair in horror movies, but I think throwing a bone to the cast every once in a while with, being able to defend yourself, I feel like that's pretty case in point. Another thing, the whole part with the brothers having to burn their clothes because it had the evil on them, but the evil was able to infect other people, that double standard, just to move the plot forward, I can't come up with any other explanation. I guess it's because the brothers have mental fortitude and can ward off some of the lesser effects, and that's why it got the dog, which is dumber than the guy. But at the same time, why? I don't want to harp on the negatives about this movie too much, because I actually enjoyed the movie, but at the same time, these double standards don't really move the plot anywhere. It just keeps the main characters alive for the sake that the whole movie's based around them. We can't lose them. I mean, if there was some explanation oh, these guys are priests, so, their connection to God keeps the evil demon Amadeus Mozart away from them. But the problem with that is, churches are dead. That's a quote from the movie. Churches are dead, so there's no God in this area. So that can't be the reason. The only reason is that there's just plot armor with these guys. They gotta keep the plot moving. Whatever. It's still a fun movie to watch. The movie's got some cool kills. It's got some cool visuals. It's got one jump scare that I remember, or classify. It's a good movie. I like it. It's not the best horror movie. It's not the best movie. But it's still a good movie. I like it. It has a soft place in here for me. Got its problems, but then again, who doesn't? At least this movie has cool props, cool kills, cool effects to sport along with it. All in all, good movie. Not the best horror movie, but it's a good movie. If you want something more on the mild side, then I'd say this is a pretty good movie for that. It's got its doom, it's got its gloom, it's got its blood, and it's got its duty flying all over the screen. And if that scares you, this is going to be a scary movie for you. But if you're more on the jump scare side, you might want to pop this movie on with your family, with your in-laws or something like that. It's a good watch, it's enjoyable, but I don't really have any much to say after that. It's a pretty good movie all around, all things considered. Weird as hell, fun as hell of a movie. With that being said, stay safe, eat cake, and I'll see you later.